Hello, everyone, and welcome to my channel. I'm Lorena Creole, and this, of course, is the Theme Park Therapy podcast. So, about once a month, we just we get it out. We just get all those feelings out with regards to theme parks, whether it's good stuff. Wish you had stuff. Like for me, when I see all the cool swag that Tokyo Disneyland gets, and I'm like, how come we can't get that cool stuff? They have cool everything. How come we're not getting it? To the things that aren't so great, like glowing the Cub Cool at Epcot and realizing that out of 8 dispensers of free soda from around the world, only 3 of them have any soda in them. One of them being the legendary one you use, tell your family members to try as a practical joke. Beverly's great. Try that. Uh, the one
Beverly.
drink from China that's like plum, and it's not good. It's really not. And some Moldovan raspberry uh, thing. It's just not good. Not good.
Yeah,
Not good.
the original Club Cool was well stocked all the time, and you had way more
Yes.
selections. Now you have the what 7? You have 7 options to
Yeah,
choose from.
there's 8. There's
8.
8. So
Okay.
there's of course the ubiquitous Beverly.
Yeah.
There's a Chinese plum drink. There's the Moldovan raspberry drink. Those are the 3 I don't even really go near. Let's see. There's the vanilla bonbon drink from Madagascar.
Oh yeah.
There's the pineapple mango coconut drink from the Dominican Republic. I hit that one first every time I go. There's a apple one from Korea. It's like an apple lychee drink. It's so freaking good. It's delicious. There's that one. Uh, let's see what else is there. There's a sour watermelon one from the Philippines, which is it's okay. Mix it with the vanilla one, and it's
There
perfect.
you go. Yeah, I was gonna say. Yeah,
You just watermelon, then go to the vanilla, and that one is perfect.
it's really it is. It's a good flavor combination. Nothing you can mix Beverly with will make it taste better though.
No,
No.
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 It's just why the heck is it here? It must be the biggest joke. I don't know, but it's fun. It's fun.
is fun.
Yes, Bonbon from Madagascar. This is my brother-in-law who has been to Madagascar, actually helped with the school out there.
Oh wow.
So that drink is so good. They had that one. They had the one from Russia, which I never would have thought of went together, Sprite and cucumber,
Wow.
which is
That's interesting.
actually pretty good.
Really?
Yeah, especially if you don't want like a super sweet soda. It kind of reminds me of seltzer with a like, you know how
Oh.
flavored seltzer water has
Yeah.
like a
Yeah,
little
yeah.
bit of sweetness to it. Yeah, and cucumber. Yeah, I never would have thought of that combination, Sprite and cucumber.
All right.
And it's pretty good. Folks would knock that stuff back too. But yeah, back in the day, Club Cool never ran out. They would maybe run out once in a blue moon because that was the one that everyone was drinking from.
Right.
So they kind of ran out. But that I've never been there, walked in a Club Cool and saw like 5 out of the 8.
I've heard the way that Club Cool operated before, it was a little bit more spread out too. So it kind of
Yeah.
like distributed crowds a little bit better. And this one people kind of clump up around these very few machines that are laid out against the wall. Not the best design choices either.
No,
I'm just
I
surprised
like
to
the
hear that
pods.
they run out. I mean, of the many times I've been to Walt Disney World, the idea of it running out is just foreign to me.
Yeah.
It was just a once in a blue moon type of thing. Sometimes it would just
Yeah.
be when there were the water, I call it the watering hole configuration because they had like the little pods and there were maybe 4
Yeah, you'd run around and then
yeah, and then you go around and everything. Sometimes one was broken or they drank too much out
Yeah.
of one of them. But it was very infrequent that you would see that. And now more often than not, there are all these selections missing, which is a shame because Club Cool was the one place that you could go. It's like, hey, I'm thirsty. Okay, let's go to Club Cool. We get some free soda, and it was, enjoyable. Coke merch was there. Sometimes people buy the merch, maybe not. No one bought the soda really. The bottles in the in the coolers to pay like $3.50 or something for, but it was just a nice Disney difference type of thing to do, that you could go try all these drinks from around the world, and if you were like me, try to recreate them at home.
I'm biting my tongue really hard right now.
You don't have to with this show culture.
Just say it.
It is very frustrating. Of all of the amazing perks that have disappeared, there's so many that they've just removed, restricted, or outright begun charging for, and then it's incredibly infuriating,
Very.
and so I mean, this is one of the reasons why I love this stream, is because we get to talk very plainly about things here. And
Absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely. There used to be a certain mantra within the halls of Disney when it came to the parks product and how they were charging and pricing things. It was always, we obviously have the perception that we're an expensive product, but we don't want to have the perception that we're nakedly greedy. That was the exact kind of quote that was going around. Just, it just push the boundaries, of course, but, don't really step over that edge. And unfortunately, they really have in a lot of aspects. And I think the perception really is the kind of reality here when you have families kind of budgeting and so forth and saying, okay, we're going to go to vacation to the Vacation Kingdom, that is Walt Disney World or Disneyland, and we're going to set up for that, save for that, scrimp for that, all those kind of things. And previously it was an expensive thing. Like at first you got to bite the bullet, but then when you actually get there, the magic is laid out for you, and you come out feeling like you like that price that you kind of afforded, initially was all worth it after this great experience that you had. But the constant nickel and diming of the experience as you go along during your vacation really kind of hurts the perception of these things and the perception of these products from that consumer. Also, too, it used to be an all-inclusive price. It was like, hey, a good, few $1,000s up front, but hey, you know what? That's all I have to pay. Now you can't even rely on that. It's expensive up front, and it's expensive after the fact you actually walk in the gates. It's interesting, when Disneyland and Six Flags first opened back in the 1950s. Initially, Disneyland was more expensive than cheaper than Six Flags, but Six Flags had an all-inclusive price, whereas Disneyland you had to pay for every single attraction you actually went on. Six Flags wasn't actually the case back when it was started up in Texas. So that's kind of the difference there when it comes to the all-inclusive nature. Big price up front, you do it, you move on, versus now it's like big expense up front, and now you have all these little transactions afterwards. So the acceleration of that perception of that cost has really skyrocketed in people's minds, I think.
It's like getting an oil change for your car, because you never go in just paying for the oil change. They're always going to find something else, and you're going to wind up spending 3 times the amount that you plan to.
Well, I mean, to speak to that, I mean, consider everything that's been taken away, though. I mean, yeah, all that stuff that was up front. I mean, you were speaking properly and directly to it. Now, I'll say this: there's no more Magical Express. That was one way to alleviate expense, because now you either rent a car or you pay for transportation. And Disney even they forewent or gone. They decided not to have that that fancy train that is Universal's going to take advantage of, the stop, the
Bright Line.
Yeah, there it is. Almost like my brain's not working. But they missed out on that. And then you look at the fact that they were charging resort fees and parking fees for people that were staying at resorts. Those are used to be able to park for free. If you were a guest on property, including their version of the Good Neighbor resorts, you didn't have to pay for parking either at the theme parks. It was only if you're coming from outside those Good Neighbor areas. They also did something that was unfair to people that were going. They expanded the number of Good Neighbor resorts that they catered to, which took away from morning and evening extra magic hours. Consider this: you used to be able to go to one park and have extra magic hours in the morning, and then at night close down a park after the rest of the guests were gone and have evening time. It was very, very frustrating. And again, all those perks are gone. Extra magic hours are now ridiculously short. There's all kinds of things that have just absolutely disappeared, and all the little magic touches. Do you guys remember when you got to your resort room that you would occasionally have a little surprise, a little extra magic? Yeah,
Oh, yeah. Hey, Dante, bring it here.
Oh, hey.
Good.
Oh, the good sir.
Yeah, forgive the ambient light. There's around this time of day, there's nothing I could do about it, and it just kind of
No worries.
it's in this weird direction. It's always at like 5 o'clock. So anyway, guys, great to see you.
Yeah,
Great to see you, sir.
Yeah. I just was about to say, yeah. I remember when I would check into my hotel room. I remember one year cash was like tight, so we stayed at like the Pop Century.
yeah.
And we got to our room and we had like these cool little towel creatures, that were there. And we were there during Christmas. So not only did they have a towel animal in there for us, but out front they had chalk for the kids to draw, like on the sidewalk. They had golf carts, dressed up for Christmas with the tinsel and everything. They had the soundtrack from the Charlie Brown Christmas playing. And in the lobby, yes, this is going to be hard to believe. In the lobby, we had Mickey and Minnie, and we had free cookies and lemonade and hot chocolate.
Oh.
At a value resort.
There used to be it was a significant difference. I mean, it really was. And I know it sounds like I'm like, kids, get off my line because I'm like 1,000 years old, but it's not. It was better then. And those towel animals, now you only find them on the cruise ships for the most part. I can't remember the last time I went into one of the Disneyland hotel rooms and stayed there and gotten one of those, or even at the Grand Californian, which you would expect if you pay a rack rate for any of those things. You're, stay in the 3-bedroom Grand Villa at the Grand Floridian, right? And you used to have significant number of benefits there, and those are gone too. They don't even cater to their highest end guests.
It makes you wonder if these executives were ever fans of Disney, were ever customers at some point with Disney. I remember when Eisner, in the early days when he was the good guy, he would make all the executives work at Disneyland in some capacity. And it wasn't even a photo op. It was, the importance was to understand what it was like, not only being a cast member, but it was also like being a guest. Yeah. And now, I see, Iger's gone in and he's working a day, but they're all photo ops. I don't think it's beyond me that these people understand what it's like to be us, not have a lot of money, but want to experience the magic, and they're just not doing it.
Eisner, back in the day, used to have whenever they were going to be investing into a new resort project for Walt Disney World or even Disneyland for that matter, he'd actually have a version of that built on site, just like a room built on site that Eisner himself would stay in before they actually go forward with the project. It's pretty insane to think about, but that used to happen. To your point, Alan, I mean, Walt Disney used to always say, hey, if you Imagineers, right, if you are designing for these parks, you have to go to the parking lot. You got to pay the fee that everybody else has to pay, walk up, go to the main entrance just like everybody else has to go through. You have to wait in the lines like everybody else would have to, wait in the lines for food and eat with and among the guests like everybody would have to. I mean, he really placed an enhanced emphasis on that because he knew the value of being in the guest's shoes. Right. And what kind of things that they would want to see that you that you haven't been able to experience until you actually put on those shoes yourself. Yeah,
that's called empathy. It's called putting yourselves. It's called feeling and understanding what the people who are paying you money feels like when they walk through those gates.
Exactly.
And there was a time where we gave them a lot of money, and we got the value. We definitely felt the value.
Yeah,
you've never.
All you had to do is get there. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Culture.
No, I was just gonna say you've never had an experience than standing in line right next to Josh tomorrow.
Yeah.
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 Because I've done that. You will from time to time walk around and a suit will be waiting in line with you at something. I happen to be in line for what used to be. Oh my gosh! Anyway, it's the new Mickey Mouse attraction that's in the Chinese theater replica that I always forget the name of.
Runaway.
Jimmy's Runaway Railway and Great
yeah.
White Red.
Railway. Yes, I can go get the T-shirt out of the closet right now. But anyway, my brain's not working tonight. But it honestly, that was a very unique experience. And if you remember when the ride first opened, those lines were ridiculous and they were in direct sun. It was very uncomfortable in Florida to be standing in the direct sun. You know, and it seems like, you know, that's a unique experience, especially with a guy standing behind you in a suit, coat, and tie, standing in the direct sun with you. I guarantee you, he put that in his brain as, why do we not have shade here? Isn't there a way we can better position this line? You know, and all of that. But it was very interesting. And everybody that's a suit will engage with you. You know, take the opportunity to talk to somebody if you happen to be near them in a line. It's a good thing, but it doesn't happen as much as it used to. I remember watching suits go around, walk the parks, VPs of Animal Kingdom, picking up trash. And,
yeah, I do remember that.
Yeah, excellence used to be a word you associated with Disney.
Yeah.
Yes, excellence. And basically, if you just paid to get into the park, guess what? That's all you had to do.
Yep.
You got all of just these extras, you know, that were there, and now so many of them.
I will say, I went to Disneyland during the ticket book days, and yeah, we had to pay for each ride that we went on.
I completely remember that time.
Yeah.
It's but we're talking like what,
like mid
30
70s
years ago.
Yeah, mid 70s.
Maybe 30 years ago.
Yeah, so the ticket books, I think, around the 70s or 80s, that's when they were actually gotten rid of. So, Alan, that's quite a ways ago. I think Dante's right. Like, ooh, we're talking.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Years
It's
ago now.
Early 80s when they finally got rid of it.
Yeah, because the passport was like a big deal. Because I remember my dad saying, "Oh, we don't have to buy tickets, you know, ticket books anymore." That was a pain to keep track of all the tickets and everything. So that was like a bonus when it came out. But
Well, because they really treated it like a carnival, you know, at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, the idea for the ticket books really originated with. We're going to have some pretty complex attractions that are going to require a level of reinvestment, upkeep, and so forth. So how do we do that, you know, on kind of this long-term basis? Well, you're going to have these kind of ticket books. And Walt was criticized even back then about the price of a day at Disneyland and the price of these experiences and so forth. And he's just like, look, listen, you know, I'm putting out a product that nobody else is. I have to maintain this stuff kind of somehow. Until Disney got to a certain point where it was like, okay, we can actually maintain these attractions and not have to be so reliant on an upfront cost for each
He had
attraction.
massive debts to pay off. So.
Huge debts to pay off as it relates to Disneyland. You know, the Walt Disney Company didn't even own it until several years after it was actually operating. You had a number of things actually happening, and now you see a number of things happening now, right?
But even as pricey as it was, though, I think at least at the time it was kind of comparable to the cost of living back then. You know, right now it's
much closer.
not at all.
Yes.
I can't afford to
now
go.
in comparison to a Disneyland ticket is insane.
Yeah. I can't afford to go. That's the sad thing.
It has exceeded inflation by such an overwhelming degree ever since the Michael Eisner era that if you've tracked it at all, I made some graphs some years ago, and the growth has been exponential in terms of, you know, how much these experiences are. And, you know, the Disney company post Walt pre Eisner was very reluctant to do that because they understood, Dante, to your point, there was a value there. There was a perception of value that they wanted to maintain. You know, Dick Nunes was very attracted to this idea. Some other executives in C-suite were, and they were just like, hey, we want to be known as a place that is a good neighbor, let's say, to our surroundings, a place that, you know, families of all stripes can actually come to as this kind of rite of passage kind of place. And now but
also a family of four back then didn't have to, you know, a man and a woman didn't have to save a year's salary to take their family to Disneyland.
Exactly.
Then, you know?
Exactly.
I mean, now it's literally like, you know, that's their trip for the year.
Right.
It is, and it's very, very costly. And I remember the rite of passage trips, right? The once a year visit someplace, growing up. It was very special. Real quick, this is
Ah!
yeah, and then
See,
this is
quote.
this is the T-shirt from when the ride opened.
That's the shirt I need.
Fantastic.
I'm trying not to
sorry, I had to go grab those. But yeah, I have the Great Movie Ride, which is where the Mickey and Minnie Runaway Railway is now. I prefer the Great Movie Ride, by the way. To the new But yeah, I threw a link to the article about cost of living, and this is an important thing to note.
Okay.
Based on a 50-year adjustment over the course of time, the price, according to the New York Post, was in August of 2022. Disney World price is up 3,871% in 50 years.
Yeah, that's a lot.
That is.
I had I had a graph.
A breakdown year by year.
Year by year, yeah. I'm trying to see if I can find it, but it has been substantial, and it's all because the Walt Disney Company, as it grew exponentially in the 80s, they needed to fund that growth. Where they do it, they did it at the parks, and those executives just couldn't get away from that constant revenue stream that they would be pulling in from there, which is really unfortunate.
You know what I'm going to share? This is a picture that I took last Saturday from over at Epcot. These are the multi-day tickets. 2 days, 3 days, 4 days. Look at how much that is.
Yeah. We were planning a trip before the pandemic. It was ruined by the pandemic. But just just breaking down the costs, the tickets were half the trip to get in. The airfare, hotel, everything, just to get in the park, it was half our budget for that trip.
You know what? I can believe that. And I'm looking at these prices now for a base ticket. I think in 2019 or 2018, base ticket prices for 2 days was $209.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
if I remember correctly. And that's insane. Consider how much it's gone up just in the course of that 5 years or whatever.
If you can see my screen right now,
cool.
I went ahead and shared it, Lorena. You can
sweet.
see the massive increase in prices. Yeah, I mean, and it's right around the time Michael Eisner comes in, right? And you can just see the track up. All of those things on the right are color coordinated with the actual graph that you're seeing there down below. But it's right in there, and they just couldn't get away from it. Caribbean Beach Resort, when that first opened, a standard room was like $79. Can you believe
I remember that?
You'd be lucky to find something less than $300 a night now. So it has gone up tremendously, not just price of admission, but everything.
I think last time I went, All Star was at $100.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Like the value resorts like Pop Century, Art of Animation was like 100, 100,
and that felt reasonable
in the summer. Yeah, it's just like, okay, it's a little pricey, but you know what? We're on property. We get the Magical Express. We get, our bags handled. We're at a Disney resort. We get our morning magic hours and our 3 magic hours in the evening where we're in the park until 2 a.m. and it's just like no one around and it's great. We get that benefit. And now, it's no longer there anymore. But
wow.
Yeah, it's Disney's going to need to course correct with these prices because average families are being priced out. And they're just like, you know what? I'm going to look at an alternative. Hey, let's go take a look at Universal. It's not that expensive to get in. They're value resorts, literally the dockside and the strip side.
Yeah.
I think I got a 1-bedroom suite, like separate bedroom. Then you had like a full kitchenette area, place to sit, 2 queen beds. I think with my pass order discount, that was like $120 a night, and that was around Christmas.
Yep.
Fortunately, Bob Iger, for the first time ever that I've heard of, I've heard him talking ever since probably 2008 or so. He finally acknowledged at this last Morgan Stanley conference that maybe pricing maybe went a little bit too far there with some of our products, especially as they relate to the parks. So it does seem that they're finally acknowledging maybe it's a little bit too crazy right now. Maybe we should kind of soften this just a little bit, because we know that there are going to be economic conditions as we go along here that might that we might see a softening of visitation. We might see some of
especially
these
right
things
now when
drop
you're
off.
talking about, like, paying $12 for eggs, and
Exactly.
the cost
Right.
of living being so high. I can't imagine people are going to these parks on a regular basis.
100%.
Well,
Yep. And if they do, they're going to go less, and they're going to do less.
Right. Well,
Right.
actually, they're being forced to do less because they're operating attractions at about 70% of maximum capacity. They're not staffing for full capacity. They're
They're not.
forcing the appearance of full capacity, despite the fact that they are still requiring park passes, which severely limit the number of guests that are in the park.
And that's why they're there.
Well below that. So you have artificial scarcity being created in the parks to give an impression of one thing, which isn't true. And the only reason to do that is to take further advantage of stripping money away from guests through genie baloney sausage craptasticness that I predicted way back when they were going along with this idea, the Fast Pass Plus craptasticness that came along with the NGE. All of this stuff was very predictable going all the way back then, all the way back into the aughts. We were talking about it. And when we got around to 2013, I believe, when I was, beta testing the Magic Band project back then, I can tell you right now, knew exactly where this road led. It led right to paid for extra access to attractions. So now, not only are you paying, instead of $3.50 to enter Disneyland Park in 1955, right, which is the equivalent or very close to about $26, $28 now. Now you're buying ticket books, except they're not called that anymore. They're called Genie, Bologna, Sausage, Lightning Lane, and all other kinds of crap. So
that's what it's called.
I'm not allowed to say bad words. I don't say a lot of bad words.
I'm like, wait a minute, is that really the name?
Like, please.
Genie Plus and individual lightning lane. Which was
One
weird. They got
more
rid of the fast
minute,
pass
and YouTube won't care.
You know me, though. I save the late night conversation for late night. You try to limit my language. You know that.
And I do appreciate that, folks. There's like 22 of you guys in here. Thank you so very much. And yes, we are going to get to one of our amazing topics tonight. Now, this is how this show goes. We'll have a topic in mind, and literally we'll just start the venting right off at the beginning. And it's like, maybe we'll get to our topic. I don't know. But I don't know if how many of you have actually seen this. So for those of you who do not know, there is a live action version of The Little Mermaid that is actually going to be coming this summer. And just so you can have an idea of what popular opinion is about this film, 268K upvotes, 1.4 million down votes.
Oh yeah.
On this.
Yeah.
It's
and that's consistent with the data that I've seen from the previous trailers and so forth. It's just there's not a lot of enthusiasm for this film, to be honest with you, and even the media is starting to acknowledge that a little bit. I remember reading an article a couple weeks ago about top 13 most anticipated films based on their trailer. Little Mermaid wasn't one of them, and yet you have Bob Iger saying, "Well, you'll understand how the quality of the brand based on the success of Little Mermaid," and it's like, oh. Iger, I would not put all your eggs in that basket. That is absolutely for sure.
Here's the thing: if the Little Mermaid was going straight to Disney Plus, I would say, okay, fine. No one really cares. They'll watch it because it's on Disney Plus. But you're trying to get a theatrical release on this, and Disney is not batting 100 when it comes to their movies, man. I mean, even Marvel, isn't doing well right now, and to put so much into this Little Mermaid movie, it's going to backfire in a glorious way, and I can't wait to watch it explode, because I feel like studios need to learn a lesson right now, and unfortunately, this is the lesson: is you can't trade quality for diversity. And I'm not saying they have to be mutually exclusive, You can have
Mhm.
diversity and quality, but when you're promoting your movie as the diverse mermaid movie,
Yeah.
you
Well,
have nothing.
it's a simple question. They should be asking, what does the audience want? What do the people who are going to buy tickets to this, what do they want? And they're not delivering it here. And
No.
also, my little Asian daughter does not feel seen or represented in this movie.
That's
It's
for sure.
as somebody, and I say this is why I cannot wait to see this live action movie to rip it apart. As someone who has read The Little Mermaid, the original Hans Christian Andersen story, when I was a kid, I had a whole uh, hardbound version of them. So the Snow Queen and the Little Mermaid. So I know that story. The Disney animated movie, I absolutely loved. I mean, it was great storytelling. I loved that. Man, I loved it so much. Let me see. Okay, I have this picture. I have to show you guys because I'm nerdy like this. So yes, this is one of my rooms, my main bedroom in Disney Dreamlight Valley. Every time there's mermaid stuff, I grab it. I
Wow.
grab it without a doubt. Pants, shoes, I don't care. If it's Little Mermaid stuff, I just have to
Look
I
at
have to have it.
you. Everything's dressed to the nines, girl. My goodness.
Yeah.
So technically, you should kind of be their demographic. You should be, but
Yes. Yes, but I'm not. I'm not. It's like if people who are fans of The Little Mermaid, especially if you've grown up watching the animated series, even if you've watched the brief TV show that it had for a while, which had mermaids of all ethnicities in it, mind you, and they actually made action figures of all of them, mind you. We look at this and the first thing we're saying is her hair's not red.
Yep.
So her ethnicity is not the first thing that we're looking at here. It's like, okay, her hair is not red. That's a problem.
See, that tells you right away that that's not Ariel.
Exactly. It's like that's not her. She doesn't have a seashell bra. I'm sorry, that's required. You have to have red hair. She has to have a seashell bra. She doesn't have that.
What does the
And
castle in the background look like?
the which one?
Wow, careful. Alan's going down the original poster and VHS cover avenue there, folks.
Yes, I was wearing Ariel hair. Yes.
Yeah.
Can I ask you, did any of you see the Little Mermaid presentation at D23 last year?
No, I did not.
So you saw it, or you?
Well, I unfortunately I did not, but guys, I have to excuse myself. Unfortunately, I have been
No worries.
called in. So Lorena, thank you so much for having me on. I would, I've been summoned. I would love to. Oh man, I'd love to get into this with you because I have so many excited thoughts. But
no worries.
I'm sure you guys can manage without me.
We'll catch up and record later.
There you go.
You got it.
Yeah,
you got it, Lorena. Thank you so
The
much.
movie's not
Alan,
going
Dante,
away, so.
Culture.
Great.
Fantastic. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Yeah. So
Your Ariel will definitely be better. I mean, even the Ursula isn't right. I'm not buying Melissa McCarthy.
I mean, Pat Carroll was perfect.
Oh my God, yes.
Wow.
Yeah. She was Ursula. I mean, that was perfect casting.
Completely perfect.
But it's like, again, when does Disney learn their lesson, right? Because not to jump to another movie, but we've all seen the Peter Pan trailer, right?
Oh no.
Yeah, unfortunately.
It's again, it's this weird concept that people now have to see themselves in these characters, and that's never been the case before. Like growing up watching Spider-Man, I never felt the need to see Spider-Man be black, right? Spider-Man is Peter Parker, this dorky white guy who gets these extraordinary powers and still has to navigate between being a superhero and a geeky teenager, right? Now I can see myself in the character of that, like that
the experiences of the character. You can see
right. I'm that geeky guy who I'd be in his same situation, but I didn't need Peter Parker to be black for me to identify with him, right? And these studios don't seem to grasp that, or even worse, they do understand that, but they're trying to go where they think the dollar is, and it's killing them.
No, well, I mean that I would question whether they even see the dollar in that. You know,
Yeah,
if they made Black Ariel here, did they really think that would raise the revenue of this movie, or you know, it's just misguided decision making.
Well, they can't be making these movies just for the purpose of losing money. Like that can't be. There has to be something else.
Well, I'll give you my opinion about these live action movies. I feel like the reason these live action movies exist is because they feel the need to correct Walt Disney. They need to correct the past. You know, it's because everything you see, you know, you could point back and say, well, you know, that the original. What was the first one? The original. I'm trying to remember the first real example of them trying to correct things.
Well, eliminating Song of the South from the planet would have been like something they would definitely.
Well, that's a correction, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, they started bringing these fairy tales all the way back from. Well, you had Cinderella, Sleeping Beauty. I mean, you've already seen live actions of all of these. You know, but they've been trying to correct. They've been trying to have corrective actions for a long period of time. It's not new, but it's again, it's done in service of a larger message, trying to erase the past, and they're doing that everywhere. It's not just in entertainment, but it's this whole idea of leaning into a particular ideology. I mean, we can talk plainly about it. This is in service of, you know, some neo-Marxist ideas. That's why I don't believe Disney's a family company any longer. They are a neo-Marxist mouthpiece.
But who's the market? Is my question. Who are they marketing this to?
Well, that's the point. They're too big to fail, so they can do this and not feel it.
But see, they're not too big to feel, because they are starting to feel the pain a little bit.
Yeah.
They're starting to feel it.
Yeah, no, Dante, you're 100% right. But they were using, and they have been for 2 decades now, using the theme parks as their cash cow. I think, Alan, you probably have seen that too. I mean, that's where they're getting their money, is their theme parks. Because to be fair, I mean, you make $100 million on a theatrical release that you spent $300 million on. You know, at the end of the day, that thing makes, you know, $800 million. You get, you know, a small return on that. Well, they're getting diminishing returns, and they have ever since the Force Awakens. Force Awakens was a $2 billion film, and you guys have all. I mean, this is your wheelhouse. You guys are watching these box offices just go sideways, and they're not getting better. Ant-Man and Wasp: Quantumania. That's going to be a horrible $50 million.
Let me add to what you're saying. It's not just the theme parks where they make their money. It's the merchandising.
But they don't.
You know, I spent so much money on theme parks and merchandising. It's. I mean, I don't want to even calculate it in my own head. But the thing is, the last time I've been to Disneyland, last time I've been to D23, there wasn't a single thing I wanted to buy. Nothing appealed to me whatsoever.
Right.
And I walked. This is the first D23 where I walked away with nothing, having bought nothing.
Yeah, I haven't bought anything at an expo or a Destination D event in last few that I've been to. I didn't go to the last D23, by the way. But I mean, I'll look at it. I look at it the same way. But see, they've succeeded what they wanted to do. What Kathleen Kennedy and all these politically aligned people, messaging aligned people wanted to do. They alienated the 50-year-olds. The problem is when you alienate the 50-year-olds, you're probably taking some of the younger groups away with them, because they're not going to be exposed to a theme park visit with grandma and grandpa. They're not going to be going with their parents who are taking grandma and grandpa along with them. You're eliminating merchandise opportunities at every stretch for a variety of reasons.
I'm sorry, floundered.
That's weird.
This pisses me off. Okay, again, as someone who has been a fan of The Little Mermaid for decades, including the book and including the movie, the fact that they couldn't even get Flounder right. Scuttle looks horrible. Oh my god!
Let me tell you.
Sebastian.
Let me tell you what happened at D23 during the Little Mermaid presentation.
Yeah.
So they bring out Halle Bailey here,
right?
And I will say this: the way she spoke and the way she carried herself, Black Ariel. That's how she came across. It's like, okay, I get why they casted her. You know, she seems to have the Ariel thing down. Then they played us the entire Part of Your World number. And it was cringe. It was bad. And you know, like, I think they told her to make it her own, and unfortunately she did. in this trailer, you can kind of hear that the tone is a little bit off because she's kind of going for like a soulful, one half a key down or something like that. But I will swear, at some points in that song, it felt like she was angry, and and I'm like, what is this? And I walked away saying, it's not too late to re-record this and do it right. And I doubt they're gonna do it. But when you see the part of your world number, you're gonna flip your lid and you're gonna be angry.
I've heard parts of it in the trailer, and I was just like, what the heck is this? There's a time for soulful interpretation, which would be a live performance. But you don't mess with an Alan Menken soundtrack. You do not. There's just certain things that you don't do, and that is not going to go over well. I really can't see that.
But see, you have to understand too, like these studios now have positioned themselves in this place where it's almost like I call it critic proof, right? Because if you don't like it, you are racist, right? If the movie fails, it's because of racism, right? It's not because the movie's bad. It's not because the story is awful. It's because racism, right? Yeah. Like, now, I'm not sure how long that's going to carry them for. I don't know how long they can keep going back to that well, but that's exactly what this movie is going to do. If you don't like it, it's because you are racist and you didn't want to see a black mermaid. I don't know how that works as far as black folks who don't like the movie goes.
That's what I'm waiting to find out, because I'm pissed about this darn movie, and race swapping the movie is like the least of the list of grievances that I have. But if they would have just put this movie out and just, hey, we hope you like it, I give it a little bit of leeway. But the fact that they make all of these changes that deviate radically from the original, and then of course, you have articles like this in Variety where she talks about her quote unquote haters that she has.
Of course. And it's the playbook, right?
Yeah, we've seen it before.
They make an intentional decision that they know will piss off the fans, and then they blame the fans.
But anti-marketing is not working anymore. It's actually working against them. And now your audiences are wising up. They wait for word of mouth. They listen to you, Alan, and to Chris, and to Dante, and to a much lesser, smaller channel extent, me. But they listen to us about our opinions on these shows and these films, because they're tired of wasting their money. They're tired of being called names. Believe me, that people used to say there's not that many people paying attention to people on YouTube, and I
disagree.
I read to inform you that is no longer the case.
That is not true.
But I'm going to tell you right now, I think that particular well of anti-marketing, or calling everybody an istinophobe or whatnot, I think that well's empty, Dante. I think you can't go fishing in that well, because there's nothing there. There's no water there anymore.
Just from my experiences with studio execs, the way I see this going down is this. I believe that these studios have a certain IP, maybe an IP they haven't used in a long time. Now it's the time to reuse that IP, right? And let's kill two birds with one stone. Let's bring in some diversity, race swap, and in that way we have both things covered, right? We have a familiar IP that everybody knows, right? And we got the race card covered. Yeah. So, and I can see an exec thinking this way, because I've dealt with studio execs and they're not smart. They're not the brightest bulbs out there. So I can see them going to that conclusion, right? That let's bring a familiar IP and bring in some diversity, and it's a win-win. Yeah. And they're starting to realize that it's not.
Yeah, think of it this way. Look at Strange World. Look at Lightyear. They brought in this LGBT storyline to attract the LGBT community, for the LGBT community. Guess what? They didn't show up. They didn't spend the dollars. They didn't see those films, and so it was a wasted opportunity. And that's the same thing here. Is this being marketed specifically to the Black community?
It's being marketed heavily.
Right, but will the community come out in droves like a Tyler Perry movie?
No, they will not.
No.
They absolutely will not.
No. How many of the and I say this because I've seen videos of kids looking at this trailer and like, that is not Ariel. Why do
Right.
I want to see this movie where Ariel isn't, white with red hair and a seashell bra? That is not her. And that kind of brings me to the next discussion point. How are they going to explain this when, and what's coming? They'll bring her into the parks as a meet and greet.
Yeah.
I can't really see that going over well.
Well, it's like bringing
with a
Black
certain segment.
Tinkerbell into the parks.
Exactly. And you know what? They had a black fairy. Her name was Iridessa. And dang it, yes, I did. I watched that. You had Iridessa. She was black. You
The
had a
Tinkerbell series
Southern
was
Belle
great.
one.
I mean, we had Asian. I mean, it was like, oh wow,
Everybody was flipping in it. And it was great. And the character meet and greets at Disneyland. I'll never forget that. The best Tinkerbell I ever met in my life.
See,
we kept asking, is Silver Mist here today? Can we?
I think where a lot of people get messed up, and especially when you're dealing with, and I hate to use this term because I understand it, but I still got to use this term anyway.
Mm-hmm.
There's a difference between what the hate mob does and then what, say, people who just love a certain property do. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, diversity is not a problem. Diversity is actually a good thing, right? Because we want to hear different stories. We want to see different people. There's nothing wrong with diversity. It's the way that they're trying to manipulate people into accepting it, right? If a movie is about, say, a black character or a Mexican family or, an Indian hero, whatever the case may be, and it's an original story, people, I'm assuming most people don't have a problem with that because of the fact it's original and it's just telling a different story. Whereas something like race swapping is, it's forced. It's forced, it's dishonest, and it's lazy. It's just, that's what it really is. It's just lazy.
Yeah, Prey is a good example of that. I think people weren't going to give Prey a chance with the Native American, indigenous, and people liked it. For the most part.
I thought it was great when I saw it, and I said the marketing didn't do any favors at all. Yeah, my whole family's in the chat. This is my sister.
I told you. I said hi.
We used to watch The Little Mermaid so many times. We would go to the Little Mermaid show that they had at the studios. We would sing the song so well. Little kids looking at us like, "Oh my gosh, how the heck do you know that?" But we love doing that. And I love this comment because we talked about this on the phone. They could have made Ariel Jamaican. They could have.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And she says, does that make you racist? Yes. But she says, I'm not taking Pearly, that's my niece, to see this. We're going to see the little Kraken.
Oh,
have you guys seen that trailer?
It looks so good.
I can't wait.
Have you seen that, Alan?
Yeah. It's just kind of like a thumb to the nose.
I haven't seen it yet.
Oh, but it's the trailer.
You got to see the trailer. Oh my God.
Yeah, go see Shazam because they need the money, and you'll see the trailer.
Yikes!
You can watch it. You can watch it online. Let me see if I can pull it up. But yes, I saw that trailer and I was like, oh my gosh, I have to see this. It is basically the mermaid is the antagonist, and yes, she looks exactly like Ariel, and it's DreamWorks, so they did that on purpose. Anytime they can thumb their nose at Disney, they'll do it.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Shrek. This is Shrek all over again. Yeah, I'm like, you guys are awesome. It's all good.
I loved it. I saw it mentioned on a Clownfish TV video, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to freaking see this trailer. Yeah,
I think we well, no, probably not. I was going to say maybe this will be in front of D&D, Dungeons and Dragons, but maybe not because that's a Sony E1. That's an E1, right? Yeah, it is
an E1. Yeah.
So that's the Kraken. She's living undercover because the Krakens have been misunderstood, and the Kraken's biggest nemesis, mermaids.
See, she's a Kraken.
Yeah. And it's
Yes,
so
Wow.
cool. And that was a mermaid right
There she
there.
is.
There she is.
Yeah, that's petty. That's very petty.
But it's funny.
Love
Everybody,
it.
everybody loves mermaids. They're all going
Yeah.
crazy. I was like, wow.
Here, I love you so much. I'm your biggest fan. She's just like, you gotta be freaking kidding me.
Yeah. Now there's a weirdness there with the marry me thing, but that's fine. Introducing a strange idea into a child's thing, but that's fine.
Yeah, the villain looks like Aaron. Yeah, I know. It's so funny. Hey, Anzo.
What's up?
I love the Shrek series. 'Cause they just every chance they got, they were just torching Disney. Every turn. But kids see this and they're just like, yeah, that looks like that Disney mermaid. And
Looks
it's
like Ariel.
just fun.
It's funny. It's a funny trailer.
Yeah, I think it dropped the same. Was it the same day or the
So
next day?
when is the Little
after?
Mermaid supposed to? When does it drop?
Little
Uh,
Mermaid?
What's
is
the
it?
release day?
Is it
see.
June?
I
Is
thought
it
it was.
June?
I
Believe
thought it was
it.
early
Or is
June.
it May?
I'm looking it up. Don't worry. Da-da-da-da-da.
May 26th.
Yeah, May 26th.
So that's
Yeah,
on Memorial Day weekend.
So
Oh,
makes sense.
it'll probably do okay for its first weekend,
Maybe.
and it may be right, and then probably drop hugely after that. But
the Kraken movie is called, and I just had it up there. Ruby Gilman Teenage Kraken,
Yeah.
and I'll actually drop the link to it
It looks
in the chat.
it looks so funny, and it was so great. It was the best part of going to Shazam.
and kind of going back to just this article we're looking at right now, I don't understand the strategy, right, of getting ahead of this by claiming that you were that people were hating against you, that bigots were calling you name and all this other stuff, and I'm sure that happens, but I feel like they do this as a buffer, right? And when has this ever worked, right? Like, when does it ever work? Like, it's not going to bring I'll try to watch my language. It's not going to bring butts to seats, right? So I don't understand this strategy.
Well, it's. I mean, I was just thinking about this because when I was at South by Southwest, I talked to one of the Imagineers behind the Hulk costume, and he was talking about how they brought Hulk to California Adventure for 2 weeks to kind of give him a test run, and they learned a lot of things. They found a lot of mistakes, and when they found those mistakes, they fixed it so that when he goes to Paris, it'll be a better product. So the idea is, if something goes wrong, you find out what was wrong, and you're able to fix it. By blaming the fans, you're not getting down to what's wrong with the problem.
No,
you're blaming a false problem, and you're never going to be able to fix it, and things are only going to get worse. And it just seems like, why isn't Imagineering going into these stories and fixing them? Because clearly there's something wrong, and it's not appealing to people.
I think, and Culture can probably back me up on this. Imagineering has had a consistent brain drain over several years. I know I tell the story. At one time, I did want to become an Imagineer. I mean, that was for me. That was like the job, I wanted to do. And then you kind of started hearing rumblings about Imagineering, people not being able to be true Imagineers, funding getting cut, cookie cutter ideas instead of creating an experience, not just a ride, not just an attraction, an experience. That was the Disney difference and the magic. And that's the difference between, an engineer, Imagineer, it's like art and science, kind of cooking all of that stuff up together. But so many Imagineers have left, and you've seen the effect of some of the Imagineers leaving, because when they got laid off from Disney, they went to work for Universal. So you got the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, which is why it's so, it's so immersive. but being a Disney Imagineer does not have the appeal that it did before. And the best minds are just like, gone. And the last great one that was forced out, like Culture had said before on numerous streams,
Brody.
Joe Rody. And he was a huge name now. If he left,
Yeah,
it's like,
that's a big deal.
why should I even go?
Yeah, well, I mean, it used to be that innovation was a word you would describe Imagineering.
Yeah, well,
Yes.
yeah, I mean, yeah, and it was a creative use of the word. They stole it from Alcoa Aluminum, by the way, and they named their things because it was underneath the WDI umbrella, which was a way for Walt to actually take some money out of his beloved theme parks, and we can get into how weird that was tax wise for him, but it was a successful strategy that kept the parks continually expanding to a certain extent. But they brought back somebody recently that I don't really think was a step up from what they had, which is Bruce Vaughn.
Mhm.
But like I said, and if they're not going to Universal, as Lorena said, they're starting their own thing. I mean, look at
Right.
Theory Coop and many others. I mean, I know some of these guys, and they're very successful outside of Disney almost immediately. So, you're right though, Alan. I mean, if you're not listening to your audience, if you're not testing to find out what's wrong and you're not listening to what's broken about whatever you're doing, you can't succeed. You just can't, and I think they're suffering from that. I think Dante was right on point from the very beginning, saying that, they're not making this for anybody. And if they are, they're targeting a very fractionally small percentage.
Or even another or a better question would be how many losses can they take?
Mhm.
Like, I get it, they're too big to fail, but I mean, you can only lose so much money, man. And they're letting people go, so it's not like they're not being affected here, right? Even if who they're letting go has nothing to do with the movies, they have to drop. They've lost thousands of employees this week, thousands. So they're feeling something.
Human capital. This is a B school conversation, but human capital is incredibly important, especially in an organization that thrives on the ability to pass things down from human to human. So when you are sending that human capital out the door, the people that you've trained, all of that stuff, you're losing something called institutional knowledge. I'm sure everybody here on this panel knows what I'm talking about, but that's all walking out the door, and you're sending it out the door. And, in a lot of cases, I mean, yeah, I guess you can afford to get rid of 2 of your 3 television divisions. I'm sure you can get rid of your IP acquisition, which is insane. You're getting rid of an IP acquisition department, like all of them. They're gone. I mean, these are all the people they let go. And I mean, your meta department, that's toast. You're not in the metaverse anymore. You spent all that money, all those resources on the R&D to get where you wanted to go with products for the future. But you see the writing on the wall. Facebook's, meta is in big trouble. So you're walking away from that. But again, this is capital that has been spent, and you're sending it all and throwing it all away. And that's one of the worst resources you can lose. I mean, that's just the way it is. But I have to step out. I can't believe I got to hang out with you guys again. Thank you all so very much.
Yeah, I have to go too.
Lorena always puts together incredible panels, and Dante, it was a pleasure to hang out with both you and Alan again. And
Yeah,
Lorena, as always, I love you, sweetheart. So I'll see you later.
Thank you. Love you too,
Bye,
my
everybody.
dear. See you later, Alan.
Yeah, have a good
Folks,
rest of the night.
Thanks, you too. Folks, I have everyone's social media links in the description box, so make sure you subscribe to Culture. Make sure you subscribe to Alan. Make sure you subscribe to Film Threat. Make sure you subscribe to Dante here, the Verbal Riot Show. To kind of wrap this topic up, there will be a media blitz for this, just like they did with Princess and the Frog, but even more so because they're trying to push this so hard. And it's going to make money its first weekend because you got the people who are going to go. We're going to go see it.
It'll make its money its opening weekend. After that though, I think it's going to do an Ant-Man where
it's going to fall off a cliff.
Yeah. And also, I to be honest, I haven't heard much buzz coming from the Black community about this movie, like to the point where I don't think they care, right?
No.
So I don't know who this movie is for.
I think this movie is for the DEI people in Disney who, or whoever it is, wanted to quote unquote see themselves.
Right.
And they're like, which one can I use? Guess what? We'll go ahead and use the Little Mermaid. I truly think that that's what it is. They think that I need to see myself. Everyone else, every Black girl should want to see herself as the Little Mermaid. And it's like, no, I want to see the Little Mermaid. This ain't it. You can't guilt trip me into doing it because they're doing the same thing that they did with Moses Ingram. You don't like it, you're racist. You don't like Kenobi, you're racist. All the racists said they don't like this thing. And it's just like, no, show was crap. Show was crap. Trailer for this was abysmal. You couldn't even get the basic things right.
And unfortunately, her character was crap. I mean, it was, but again, if you didn't like her, you were racist, right?
Yep. Or like, oh, you racist, to the point where they trotted out oh my gosh, I'm totally blanking on Obi-Wan. It basically had to trot. Yeah, Ewan McGregor, he does the hostage video where just like, we love Moses, and I've heard these reprehensible things online. It's just like, bruh, really?
Yeah,
really?
And someone gave him the call to make that video.
Oh, yeah. He totally got the call. And then it got to the point where they couldn't ignore it anymore. The show was crap. No one was coming back to see it, and all that conveniently went away. But they're ginning the same thing up with this particular movie, and it's not going to end well.
But again, this is what happens when you sacrifice story for the sake of pandering, right? I mean, even today we all saw the news, right? That Ryan Coogler is going to be doing the X-Files, right? And instead of talking about the characters, right, like Mulder and Scully, and how great those characters were, the first words out of his mouth was, "It's going to be a diverse cast." I'm like, okay, but what about the characters, right? Nothing about the characters other than they'll be diverse.
Yeah, as if that's enough to sell it.
Yeah, like that's it.
Like maybe 10 years ago, but it's just like, no, I don't. Why? I don't care. I don't care. And all I see is you taking yet another IP, a great show the way that it was, and somehow feel that you need to update it for modern audiences. That I much rather prefer the news that Questlove is going to direct a hybrid version of the Aristocats. I'm like, I want that soundtrack. That's
right.
Real cats in the soundtrack. I'm down with that. But yeah, this.
I think we're just living in a very creatively bankrupt time, and
agreed.
I think studios are trying to find an easy dollar, and they think that diversity is their easy dollar, right? All you gotta do is put a black face to what was usually a white face, right? And all of a sudden you have a hit where we know that's not the case.
We do. And yes, The Princess and the Frog was decent. My main bone to pick with Princess and the Frog is that they made it seem like all Black New Orleanians were into voodoo.
Right.
No. I don't know who thought that was a good idea.
Right.
But no, we're really not. So that was the only ding really that I had to it. But I enjoyed the movie.
Yeah,
and you had people complaining that she didn't look dark enough or whatever. I'm like,
and again, we're not saying diversity is bad. We're talking about forced diversity, where they're leading with that instead of it just being about a good story or about good characters. They're trying to sell a movie based on either race or gender or sexuality or anything but story and character.
Right. Exactly. And it's interesting because someone on my Twitter timeline actually said this. He said, John Wick 2 just made a crap ton of money. How diverse was that cast? They didn't say anything about it. People just showed up on screen, were cool ass characters with guns and swords and just giving us what we wanted to see.
And that's why those movies do so well, because there's a story, there's characters. That's all we care about, you know. And yes, there is diversity, but guess they don't make it a point of pointing it out. You know, they're just
Yeah.
cool characters. You know, I love that in this new movie. You know, there's a black guy named Mr. Nobody.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to know his name. He's just a badass. Just know he's a badass.
Yeah,
You know,
your
but
bounty's not up high enough on you yet.
but it's stuff like that that makes, you know, us get behind these characters, not the fact that they're just black or just gay or just whatever, you know.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I mean, it's why Top Gun did so well, man. Like, no one cares about all that stuff. We just want to see a good story.
Exactly. And that's why people went to see it, in droves. It had a diverse cast, but again, that wasn't the selling point.
That wasn't the selling point.
Just put your film out there. Let us see it. If it's got diverse character, we got eyes. We can see that.
Right.
So I feel a lot of times some of these studios just want to give themselves a pat on the back and think they did something good, where it's like, see, we have diverse characters. See, isn't this great?
Well, and also, I mean, the one thing we haven't really talked about is, you know, if we're being really honest, these studios don't have writers anymore. They have activists, right? They don't have
True.
real
Yes.
screenwriters, or they don't have writers who have read books, who have read stories and who know how to write a story. They have activists, you know, who know how to sell content, which isn't the same as selling art.
No, they want to sell the message out. The message
Yeah.
should be enough to make you go out and see it. And more people are like, no, your message sucks. At least if you're going to put a message in there, make it entertaining for me to check out.
Or make it
And
subtle. You know, what happened to
yeah.
subtle like message in a story?
It's nuts. These writers are a little bit. Yes, X-Files. They're talking
I mean,
about
there's that
X-Files.
whole, like, you know, not rumor, but speculation that Hollywood is going to go, you know, pure chat GPT at some point and just have the AIs writing scripts. But my thing is, I think they're already doing it. I think they've been doing it, or at least the MCU, I think, has already been doing it, because every script is the same. Every MCU movie has been the same for like the past 4 or 5 years. Same formula, anyway.
Mm-hmm. Plus, there was something, I think Sandra Bullock was involved, and I think Disney was using this. Any script that got submitted had to get evaluated by some program to make sure there was at least 50% female LGBTQ Skittles Nation represent.
Oh my,
Literally,
that's
how
crazy,
many,
man.
how many toxic male lines were? I mean, literally.
But I'm
That's
not
what they were
surprised
using.
by this, though. You know, I mean, you saw Velma, right?
The first episode, unfortunately.
Okay, so I did the Lord's work and I watched all of it, right? because I'm like, you know what? I will step on the grenade here and or jump on the grenade, and I will watch all of
I
Velma
did
so
that
that
for
I can talk
She-Hulk.
about it. And it was gut wrenching, man. Like, there were times where I felt like, am I a masochist? Like, why am I doing this to myself? You know, like, this is like the worst storytelling I have ever seen. And bastardization of beloved characters I've never seen on this level. And I can't believe a human wrote that.
It was, yeah, you sure did the Lord's work. Because after one episode, I was like, nah, I'm done. I'm done. I had to do that for She-Hulk, and I said, that's it. That was the one thing for the year,
But
but
see,
not Velma.
I didn't watch Velma to see if it would get better. Like, I want to see how far down it would go. Like,
Again,
I was just morbidly curious. Like, how much worse can each
can it get?
episode get? And it did. So it exceeded my expectations of how bad it got.
Oh man. Well, folks, it's going to be real interesting when this film comes out. Yes, I will be falling on the grenade and watching it because I'm telling you, as a fan of mermaids, as a fan of the original Little Mermaid and the original story, I'm pissed. So I want the credibility. Yes, I went and saw it. You can't say, well, you didn't see it. You probably didn't see the movie. Yes, I did. Plunk down my hard-earned money. I'm going to go and see it. Probably going to go see it probably on Disney property. Ooh, I wonder if they're going to do the same thing for this that they did for Wakanda Forever. So here's what happened, right? Okay.
Okay.
So online, Disney put this like tweet out that said, oh, if you're going to be, on Walt Disney property, you can come to a preview screening of Wakanda Forever. You'll be provided 2 free tickets, refreshments, popcorn, and
Wow.
drink.
Okay.
And definitely, please do dress up as your favorite character from Wakanda. And I almost went, but I got a reservation and everything to go.
Wow.
But I had never seen anything like that, at all. They'll probably do it for this movie too.
I'm sure they will. They did it for Black Panther. I'll probably go see the film, but the thing with Film Thread is, we get these invites, so I'm not paying money. Like if we get a free invite, I will go see it just so I can talk about it. But I just can't. I can't put money down and say I want to see this movie.
I probably will, or try to use my loyalty points, but I'm probably gonna, I'm gonna straight up go legit. I'll probably pay to see this, go during the cheap show, and let you know what I thought. Goofar35, hopefully the live action Little Mermaid just bores you instead of flat out pissing you off. Well, I'm already pissed off because by them doing this race swap, and I forget who said it in the chat earlier, and Dante, I believe you said the same thing too. The way that it's just lazy. You're doing it just to do it. It used to be if there was a race swap, there was a reason, like Samuel L. Jackson as Nick Fury, Lawrence Fishburne as Perry White.
Right.
It was because of the actor, Denzel Washington as the Equalizer. It was because of who the actor was. You're just like, oh, okay, yeah, he's a cool actor. I want to see him in that particular role. And they didn't make a big deal out of it. That's the other thing. They just said the casting and that was it.
And that was it, yeah.
And they left it that way. But this, it's just like whenever they want to, you notice that they'll race swap in one direction. They won't make a black character white.
Oh, never.
They'll make a white
that
character
will
black.
never happen. Because they'll get lynched. They would burn that studio down. No, it wouldn't happen. It's just. I mean, let's be honest here. The only characters that are that are okay to race swap would be either white and sometimes Asian. Sometimes Asian, but usually white.
Yeah. And it's kind of like what Ripa said. These types of people who do these race swaps, they only see legitimacy in white characters.
Yes.
So that's why
the
they
reason
go
why.
and do that. Because it makes zero sense to us logically, but to activists, that's what they want to do. And they think that you want to see this too. It's like, no, I don't care. It's lazy just making her black just to do it. But again, that's like the low on the list of things. But you cannot deny that that's exactly what they're doing. They're basically saying, hey, if we make this character black, you're going to come and see this movie, right?
Right.
You're going to spend money on merchandise, right? That merchandise is going to sit on the shelf, I'm going to call it now, and collect dust the same way that the action figures from Wakanda Forever did.
Yeah, because I don't know anyone who has any of those action figures.
No, and Jerry
I don't know one
Mendoza,
person.
this is true. I've heard rumblings that, over in Asia, they are not happy about
we're not
Ariel
happy
being
here
swapped that way.
with
Yep,
that movie.
we're not either. They did not, they didn't pull black people and say, hey, Black America, you want a Black Little Mermaid? We were not even freaking thinking about that.
Yeah. That's kind of like even more insulting, though, is the fact that they're making these decisions for us, right? Saying, "Oh, well,
Yeah.
we'll do something for the blacks," right?
Yeah, I've always been good to you people.
We'll give them our hand-me-downs, right? We'll give them a version of Batman
Yeah.
to be black in, right? It's insulting, and they don't even realize what they're doing when they do stuff like this.
No. No, and then they're upset, well, shocked. Like, what do you mean you didn't like that? Didn't It's diverse. You should like it, right? It's
Right.
like, no. What made you think that? So that really is pretty bigoted for them to think that if we just race swap, that's all, the black people need. And theme park casual, yes, they were. Brandy and Whitney were accepted in Cinderella. One, it was the Rodgers and Hammerstein version, and two, because Brandy and Whitney could sing. Especially Whitney was a legend. Brandy was like the new ingenue singer on the scene, and she was very popular. So putting the both of those two in that movie, that was money. People saw those two and they were accepted. Oh, and the prince was Asian, by the way, in that version.
That's right. That's right.
People didn't care. It was like, we get to see Brandy sing, we get to see Whitney sing, and
But also,
it's cool.
They're not every race swap has been a bad thing, right? I mean, if you think about The Wiz, right? The Wiz is an amazing movie.
Yeah.
And that's obviously a race swap of The Wizard of Oz, right? But that race swapping wasn't the norm that it is now. Now it's become a norm. It's become a selling point, and it's become dishonest in the way they're going about it.
Mm-hmm.
So
total. That's right. It was a complete reimagining. So
yeah,
it's not like they went. It's not like they went back to Kansas. And Jonte, we've talked about this before, and actually, we have to do a watch party for The Wiz. The
yes.
Wiz was set in New York City.
Yes, modern day New York at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. Hey, Magical Mousers. It's still deeply sad Princess Tiana is getting major sloppy seconds when taking over an iconic ride instead of giving her own mini land, etc. Yeah, it is. And actually, I'm going to end the stream actually with some information about related to that you guys are going to
Which park are they, or which part of the park are they taking out or replacing it with?
Oh, they're replacing Splash Mountain.
Oh, Splash Mountain
At Walt Disney World. They haven't announced it for Disneyland. Tokyo Disneyland is like, no, we're not touching our version of a Splash Mountain, but
right.
They've already got the barriers up, there's tarp up, there's scaffolding up, there's a hole in the darn thing.
Okay.
And and all of that. And based on a salt mine, which was mined by actual slaves. Avery salt mine. Yeah.
Interesting.
That's what their experts went and did. Yeah, that really pisses me off, considering that is not my Louisiana history. I'll tell you about it. Exceptions do not disprove the rule. Which rule, Kwang Soo? Hello. You're gonna have to give me some context so I can answer you a little better with that. And yes, the whole movie was cast like a regular Broadway show with big names. The king was Victor Garbo. I forgot Whoopi Goldberg was the queen in that.
I forgot too, actually. I haven't seen that movie in a long time.
Yeah, I haven't either. I know it was a big deal when it came out. And it had something for everybody, and not just that.
Right.
It was just a good story, and people just liked seeing it. Star-studded. Who doesn't like a star-studded cast?
Right.
So that's why it was good. Just race changing, not usually be good. Sometimes I say race swapping just to do it, and like Dante and I have been saying, it's now to the point where it's commonplace.
Yeah, it's a selling point now.
Exactly. It's a selling point. Like, it would be a different if, hey, Darth Scipio says, I disagree with you, as I think Hans Christian Andersen will be okay with a black actress playing the Little Mermaid. Whether the film is any good is something else. And that's pretty much what I've been saying. Ariel being race swapped is the least of the problems. It's the least of the problems. If I wanted to make my own movie about the Little Mermaid and make the Little Mermaid black, so be it. That's what I'm going to do. But I'm not going to say that that is the selling point for the film. And I think that's what we're talking about. I would give Disney much more credit if they would have just cast the movie and left it at that.
Yeah.
No word about
And
diversity
here's
or
the thing: if
anything
you're
like
gonna
that.
race swap, if you're gonna race swap a major character like Ariel, then you got to make her look so much like Ariel, right? If you're going to go ahead and race swap a major character like that, I mean, little girls grew up on her, right? She's not. I mean, she's a major character, and if you're going to do that, then make her as accurate as possible. But I'd say they went into this wanting to sell a black Little Mermaid,
Yeah,
not the Little Mermaid. Like
exactly.
that's the problem.
Exactly. Because if you see like her surroundings, and we keep talking about it, she's got the sports bra on. She doesn't have a shell bra on. Her hair isn't red. I've seen red dreadlocks. Okay.
Right?
Any hairstylist in Hollywood could recreate that look
Yeah.
on Afrocentric hair. Totally could do that. So those are two details that are missing. Then you saw how Sebastian looked, that really scary. Looks like it came out of SpongeBob SquarePants. And then you have Flounder, who just no, doesn't look good. Scuttle looks horrible. So there are all these elements that they're getting wrong. So
Also,
even though they race swap the actress, it's not the most it's not the worst thing about this.
there's also a thing that we didn't even talk about when it comes to this character is how they're even changing her motivations, right? Because now it's not about her needing a man, right? And now it's about her just being this strong, independent woman, and
Yes.
it's like, okay, we get it,
I think with Halle, and I'm going to go back to actually to my original tweet. This is really what made me angry, because yet again you have these, not to say that the actors need to know everything, but they need to know the basics. The whole story about the Little Mermaid, the Disney version, because in the Hans Christian Andersen version, Ariel was trying to prison shank somebody. Yeah, they didn't put that in there. They didn't put that in the Disney version. And at the end of that one, Ariel did not get her legs. So the moral of the story was to be happy with
Right.
with where you are. With this movie, with the original animated version, Ariel was so curious about the human world. She does that whole song when you look through all of her stash, and she's like, "I got want to thingamabob? I got 20." She wanted to know everything about the human world. She wanted to be at the surface. She just happened to save Eric, fall in love with him, and that was just basically the trigger. Said, you know what, I now I have an additional reason, or like
Right.
say the extra kick in the pants, to become a part of the human world. And when she makes that deal with the sea witch, she did not do that lightly
Right.
at all. She was thinking about, I'm never going to see my father or my sisters ever again. And Ursa's like, yeah, but you have your man, won't you? Pat Carroll said that so good. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
But it's like you don't see that part. You're just talking about, we're going to make this for modern sensibilities, and it's more than wanting to leave the ocean for a boy, because
Right.
that was not the original story. And if anything, that's an insult to those of us who have loved this animated story for years.
Yeah. And it's almost kind of weird to me because I would feel like Halle Bailey, Halle Bailey, Bailey,
Bailey,
Haley
yeah.
Bailey,
Mm-hmm.
whatever, the actress. You would figure she grew up on The Little Mermaid. Like it's in her range
Mm-hmm.
of movies
She
she
said
would.
she did.
So you would think she would know a little bit more about the character, right?
Yeah, you would exactly. You would think so, which makes me wonder who at Disney is telling her to toe this line.
Right.
who at Disney is telling her, oh, I have to, granted, it probably did affect you. Like, oh, these black girls are going to see, Black Mermaid, and this is going to make them feel seen. It's like, who's telling her that? Because we've seen this whole song and dance before. Instead of saying, you know what, I'm happy to be cast in this film. I hope you like it, and just leave it at that, not delve into these identity politics.
I mean,
And
probably the activist who wrote it told her all this stuff, right? Because I don't think they've seen any Disney movies, to be honest with you.
Yeah, hey, Stud Brat. She said she'd pretend she was Ariel in the pool. Yeah, she did. Yeah, she was, I think, immersed for like 13 hours a day. But yeah, she had seen the original, which is why it's like, if you've seen the original, if you've truly seen the original, you know just how outrageous the statement is, which again makes me think Disney's telling her what to say. And it's going to wind up just like with Moses Ingram. People
Yeah.
lost interest in the film, and guess what? Now you got Moses Ingram set up to take the fall for that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how many lessons these studios have to learn, but like, again, how much money can you lose, or can you afford to keep losing? And I think a lot of these studios are in that situation right now.
Yeah, because if you look at Disney's movies, track record is horrible. Ant-Man and the Wasp, horrible. Again, granted, it is not a family movie, but John Wick 4 is beating the pants off of anything Disney or DC or Marvel has put out in I don't know how long. So again, that also shows you're either going to want to make money or you're going to want to keep losing it. And I think it's going to get to the point where, and it's already at that point now with all the layoffs and stuff. They're laying thousands of people off in like 3 rounds, so it won't be done until like June. The Galactic Starcruiser, they're giving DVC members and annual pass holders 30% off. Like, that's a big difference. So they're
Wow.
yeah, they're actually doing that. They are giving you 30%. Still expensive.
Still expensive, but I mean, again, it just goes back to, you can't. I don't care how big you are, you can't continue to bleed money. Like, you can't. I mean, even Disney can't afford to bleed money. It's and they're seeing it now. I mean, things that should have been an easy win for them, like Ant-Man.
Mhm.
Ant-Man should
Yeah.
have been an easy win, and no one showed up. They showed up for week 1, and that was it.
And that was it, because people saw
And what
that
happened
movie.
is, the people who showed up for week 1 gave so much bad word of mouth
Yep, that's
that no one showed
exactly
up
it.
for a second week.
I think it dropped by what, like 70% or something like that.
Oh,
And
it's the
next week
biggest drop they've ever had.
Yeah.
Easily the biggest drop they've ever had. Even the Eternals, I think, did not as bad its second week.
Dang,
And that's the worst Marvel movie I think ever made.
I didn't make it through Eternals. 20 minutes. That was it.
It's just so bad.
It was, oh God, it was just freaking awful. Yeah, even with all the price drops, no one really wants to go to such a lame hotel with a lame Disney Star Wars. Yeah, there's 2 things. One, the concept was priced too high and you don't get as much. And then it's not based on the original trilogy. And I've had this discussion on several streams. If I had a chance to have dinner with Vader, recreate that scene from The Empire Strikes Back, I'd pay for that.
Yes, absolutely.
I would 100%.
And how do they not understand that, is my question.
I think what it is Disney's failure to admit that they don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
They thought that they knew better than Lucas. They thought that, hey, our Star Wars is better, which is why Galaxy's Edge, you had Imagineers working on Galaxy's Edge based on the original trilogy. That was what they were working on. And then Kathleen Kennedy says, you know what? We don't need those 50-year-old men. Guess what? The sequel trilogy, that's the future. And that thing is just bleeding money, because people will walk by. I've heard people say, "Where's the old Star Wars? I'm going back to Star Tours. I don't know what this is." In Galaxy's Edge, the original trilogy is what makes money, and they made a huge mistake. So if they were smart, they would reprice the Starcruiser. It's going to wind up being like a day trip, or like like either a dinner theater or like a day destination. Like you pay
Right.
one price and you're there for like a day, and you're immersed in the story, because it's not the concept that's bad. I would say the basis of it is bad. The execution, you can kind of get that. If you make it original trilogy, then that makes sense how they
Right.
would do it, but not the way that they have it now. So now they're putting coupons out. Nope, not going to forget the us bus. Literally, it's like a truck, but it's covered from the outside to transport you to Batu. And every time I drive by there, I swear there's tumbleweeds that go past the glass.
Wow.
Nobody is really going to that one. And Darth Scipio, I'll get this before I'll go to our last quick but important topic. Darth Scipio, Lorena Creel, don't you think Lin-Manuel Miranda's Hamilton is good, even though the musical has a race swap in the cast? Yes, I do. I loved Hamilton, and I'm going to tell you why. The objective was not to teach you history. And I think this is what people forget. Art is not there to teach you history. I had no problem with the way that Lin-Manuel Miranda did Hamilton, because that was his vision for it. So you really can't say, you're wrong to race swap the character. That's his creation, what he wanted to do. And I will tell you that there are more Black and Hispanic, or put it this way, kids of every age who have gotten interested in American history, about Hamilton, about Jefferson. I mean, Jefferson in a rap battle with Hamilton, I
Right.
would not have thought about that, though they had, acrimonious disputes. So yeah, I thought it was perfect. And
Also, we're talking about historical figures in a musical. We're not,
yeah.
that's a big difference between taking beloved characters, right, that people know, and switching them because you want to try to use them as a cheat code,
Yeah.
to make a profit. You know what I mean? Like there's a big difference between that and Hamilton.
Yeah, I freaking liked Hamilton. And there was so much just hand wringing about Hamilton, and I saw it and I was like, what's the problem? I thoroughly enjoyed
Yeah, I did too.
Hamilton. But that was, again, an original creation. If
Yeah,
somebody would have did Hamilton and said, hey, we're gonna race swap them the other way, I think people would have a problem with that.
probably.
I think they would. Okay. All right. So first of all, thank you so many for all of you being here. One thing that I do want to point out, and this is a part of Disney history that some people do not know or ignore. Splash Mountain, which was based on Burr Rabbit stories, this wonderful lady, Valerie Stewart. I don't know. Have you heard of her, Dante?
I haven't.
At all? Valerie Stewart, her father, Nick Stewart, was the voice of Burr Bear in Song of the South and in Splash Mountain.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. And while she was alive, unfortunately, she passed away like about 3 weeks ago. Her job, or her mission, was she wanted people to know about her father, and to clear up a lot of the misconceptions about Song of the South. And she also helped with the petition to try to get Splash Mountain to stay as
Right.
it is, but most importantly, educating people about what her father did. Her father and her mother had the Ebony Theater, which they had a lot of Black thespians there. The father from Good Times
Oh yeah,
actually came through that
James Evans.
program here. James Evans, yes. Yeah. I saw his picture. I'm like, what? So there's all this history about Black Hollywood that I didn't know that she was involved in. And Miss Valerie, Ella Fitzgerald actually babysat her, which is
Wow. Okay.
interesting note. So her service is actually going to be live streamed. It's Friday, March 31st at 10:30, which is about 10:30 Pacific, which is about 1:30 Eastern. So as soon as that link is dropped, I'll share it out. I'll share it out on Twitter. But I have Uncle Remus stories. My grandmother used to tell those stories. I love Splash Mountain, and yeah, such a sad thing to know that she's gone. But I loved her work when she was on Twitter. She followed me on Twitter. She
Oh,
had
that's cool.
the interview with WDW Pro. Go back and watch that interview. You'll find out so much, not only about Disney, but about Hollywood, about Black Hollywood, and how really hard Black actors had it in the 40s and
Oh,
50s
I'm sure.
and 60s. Yeah,
And
real.
it's kind of funny because when you think about that, and then you think about the way things are now, like it's kind of like Hollywood's trying to do this whole like course correction, right? But they're doing it all the wrong way, right? They're trying to make up for
Yeah.
like 80 years of, you know, really kind of like just giving Black folks the most disrespectful roles, right? And
In the
they're trying to
name of,
course correct, and it's like,
yeah, it's like we were fine. We were doing fine
yeah,
until you decided to be offended on behalf of people that didn't ask you to be.
right. Or make race swapping a commodity. You know,
Ah,
like they tried to make it a selling point.
exactly. And you know what? You're right, Kwang Soo. He had a reason for doing it. The Anne Boleyn series on AMC was a freaking travesty because that they tried to portray as real history.
Right.
Anne Boleyn was not Black. No. See, Bridgerton, that's pure historical fiction. And they say that in the beginning. So when you see all of these diverse characters, you know, it's historical complete fiction.
And it's fiction on the level of like erotica, right? Like it's not
Yeah, pretty
like
much.
it's
Yep.
not even it's
Yep.
almost like a weird fantasy, like women's fantasy more than anything else. Like it's not
Yep.
Bridgerton was never meant to be taken literally, you know,
Nope, not at all.
or have any kind of historical substance whatsoever.
No. It was just there to look like a bodice ripper romance novel set in the Victorian era up there on screen for you to watch.
Yes,
That's
that
it.
was it.
Man, I freaking enjoyed it. I can't wait. May 4th, Charlotte. I cannot wait for
I
that.
can't imagine anyone watching that thinking that it's historical in any kind of way. Like I
I don't get it. I mean, when I was in school and we would watch movies of certain novels, all of my teachers were just like, this is just to entertain you.
yes,
It's not real, it's not accurate. We would actually watch stuff and say, is this historically accurate or not? It is not the job of art to give you historical accuracy. Unless it's a documentary, then that's different.
sure, but when we're talking fiction, we're just talking fiction here. Like we're
Yeah,
not, you know. I mean, if
that's
you
it.
watched, Penny Dreadful, it's like I don't think everybody in the Victorian age was either a vampire or, or a psychic witch, or
No,
you know.
no, folks. I mean, for example, it's not like you can go and buy a bulletproof suit at Men's Warehouse, like John Wick.
Right.
No,
It's
no,
like,
no.
come on, people. Like, but maybe that says a lot that our society has been so dumbed down that we have to like blatantly explain things to people because otherwise they will jump to the wrong conclusion.
It's like I say, you know what? There's certain people where they are the prime reason why you have to have directions on shampoo. Literally, just
Yeah. Telling them
unfortunate.
not to drink it.
Yes, not to.
You know,
not to drink it, not to pump gasoline into an open container and drive off with it. But that's another Florida man story. First of all, I want to thank Dante for hanging out with me here on Theme Park Therapy and all of my guests that came through. I did see Theme Park Casual in the chat. I know he had to work, so folks, make sure you subscribe to him. His details are in the description box. Dante, what do you have coming up? Let folks know about.
Okay, so yeah, I have. So here's the thing: I had a few videos that were planned, and YouTube struck them for certain reasons. So because they didn't like what I was talking about, but I do still have my Shazam review coming. I also have my there was another one. So it was Shazam and another movie I saw. Anyway, I have a few film reviews coming up pretty soon. So.
Oh, okay, cool. I'm not going to see Shazam because I'm not.
I can
not
tell you right now,
interested.
you don't have to see my review to say for me to tell you miss it.
Okay,
Just miss
because
it.
I'm going to see John Wick 4 again tomorrow night, so that's where my money
Yeah,
is.
that's a better idea. Absolutely. Shazam was awful.
And I liked the first one. I thought the first one was a fun watch.
I liked the first one a lot. It was better than I thought it would be, and this one just gave up. They just gave up. They decided that you know what, we should make the sequel and get it done with, and forget the story, forget what we liked about the characters in the first movie.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just get this movie made, and that's kind of how this movie felt.
Oh man. Well, I'm gonna have to watch that review of yours. So thanks for following on that grenade, folks. As for me, let's see. No Dark Council tomorrow night. It's our week off. We'll be back the next week. Thursday, I should be on WDW Pro's new show. Starts at 5 p.m. Eastern on Thursday, so you can see me there. On, let's see, it's a darn shame. I'm trying to recount.
Oh, I'm sorry. Scream 6. Scream 6 was the other movie. I was like, and that's how forgettable that movie is. That I literally forgot that I shot a whole review about it. But
wow,
I'll get into that in the review. It's not good. It's
okay, because I didn't see Scream, but I dropped out of the Scream franchise because I was just like, you can only do this.
I don't understand why these movies are still happening. Like even for goofy fun, I don't get it. I don't get it.
I don't either. I watched Megan, which I freaking loved. Holy crap. I watched the unrated version. I loved that one. And Smile, which scared the crap.
I haven't seen Smile. I've seen Megan, which was great, but I haven't seen Smile.
Smile. I did a watch party with Positive Fandom over on the Network. We watched it live. I'm usually pretty hard to scare, but the jump scares just goodness.
I'm in.
It was a good watch. I'd heard good things about it, but hadn't had a chance to see it so now it's on Amazon, so you can see it there. Thank you, Jillian, for that $1.99 super chat and for being a channel member. Thank you so much. Just thank you, Lorena, Dante, mods, and Chad. Yes, thank you so much to my mods. Thank you. Love you guys to death. Friday at 12 noon, I'm gonna have a video dropping, another episode of An Audience with the Queen. Starry-eyed guest is my guest again, and we are talking season 1 of Doctor Who. So
very cool.
I've never watched Doctor Who before, so I just started watching it.
Wait, season 1 of the originals?
Season 1, I guess the series that started in 2005.
Okay.
So I haven't seen like the way. Yes. So I finished the season with Christopher Eccleston, and
that was a really good season, actually.
I thoroughly enjoyed watching it. I got so many like original series Star Trek vibes watching it. I had a great time. Had to get used to David Tennant taking over. That I was
David
like,
Tennant
I don't know if
is
I like
still,
this
I
kid.
think, the most popular version of the Doctor. He was never my favorite. I mean, he was good, but he wasn't my favorite. But I feel like Eccleston should have gotten a little bit more time
I agree.
than just one season.
I agree because I wasn't ready for him to leave. It just didn't.
I think the only reason why they did that was because they wanted to kind of set the rules out there about the regeneration part,
Ah.
and they kind of wanted to like do it early. Like, this is what happens when the Doctor gets severely damaged, and he doesn't die, he regenerates, and that whole thing. So
Okay, but yeah, season 1. So please do watch that. That video is going to premiere on Friday at 12 p.m. Eastern. We're summarizing, reviewing, talking about all of the episodes that are in season 1, including the Christmas episode in there as well, which was Killer Christmas Tree. I'm never gonna forget that.
you know what? I'll say this about Doctor Who. Every year the Christmas specials are like the best episodes.
Yeah,
because every year they do a Christmas episode, and it's always the best.
I freaking loved it. I was in tears watching that. It was just too much. It was just too much fun. Let's see. Friday, I'll be streaming live in the morning from the Magic Kingdom and going over to the Grand Floridian, seeing all the disrespectful chocolate eggs and other stuff that they're going to be selling there. So, sugar rush there. And Saturday evening, Jackbox stream returns to my channel. We're going to be playing several Jackbox games. It's going to be a blast. I can't wait to see what crazy stuff y'all come up with these for these games. I'm so glad there's a family-friendly filter that
I have not played a Jackbox game in probably like 15 years.
Oh man, you got to drop in for that.
It's been a while.
We just have a blast, and it's even funnier when people start dropping in Kathleen Kennedy references and Marvel references and Star references. It's just
I'm
it's
sure.
just a blast. So yeah, you got to drop in. You got to drop in for that. Okay, folks, we're gonna call it a night again. Thank you so much for being here. Theme Park Therapy, we run once a month, of course. The other one we run once a month is Theme Park Geeks and Divas. Lots of theme park talk with my panel. We have a great time. So please do watch out for the announcement for that particular stream. Good night, everybody. Thanks for being here. Hit that thumbs up button, and we will see you next time. Bye.
See you guys.